see all of you here. There's a lot more people registered than are here yet, so you guys are probably the inner circle or some special thing like that. So we can just act this way for the next couple of days. I didn't want to prepare any remarks because, I didn't want to sound too canned and I ran out of time. But in any case, there's a lot of stuff going on, things that have just been on my mind. There have been, of course, whenever we're trying to get ready for this conference, then the powers that be do something that we absolutely cannot ignore. And Mary Jo and I are saying, why are we not really as ready this year as we were last year? And we said, well, it's the thing about all the forums on the bid out. It's the thing about the pharmacy and all this stuff we had to do, because we did some major mailings, a couple letters to the governor, those kinds of things. And those things do get in our way when we're trying to do the conference, because our conference is our way to connect to all of you in a one-to-one way. But unfortunately, the things that we have to do at the political level and at the state level, they don't do those things when we ask them to. So sometimes we don't get as much done. But in any case, one of the things that's really been on my mind, and it is the theme of this conference, but it's been brought home to me again this week. Ginger Kenny Sweet was scheduled to speak here to welcome you this morning. Ginger's husband had a triple heart bypass surgery on an emergency basis yesterday, and another one of our speakers, Patrick Berry's wife, was in a very serious automobile accident. It is expected that they think that she doesn't have any life-threatening kinds of injuries at this point, but she has many, many injuries. And I think it should remind us, and we all need to go back to bottom line. As my husband and I were talking about our blood pressure thing last night, we're saying, wait a minute, think about Patrick, think about Ginger, keep these things in perspective. And it really fits with what I think is the big picture for us in terms of being family members, in terms of being kids with issues that they have to deal with that are difficult, and in terms of being providers for families. The value of our families, the value of our relationships inside and out of our families is extraordinary. I don't think we can calculate that. And what ACMH continues to want to do for all of us is to I still need a nose job. The value of all of us together and the kind of relationships that we forge in good and bad are just so incredibly important. So as I welcome you this morning, I want to make sure that we all recognize that we're in this room working on the same thing, working for the same kids, working for the same families, and we really need to appreciate each other and value each other. And and if I may, I was just talking about this stuff with Kenny and his mom. I said, what a team they've been. And I said, but I'm sure they've had conflicts at times. And they said, yeah, this morning. So I think it's just incredibly important that we continue to work on seeing ourselves as a team and valuing our team members. I want to talk just briefly, a couple sentences, about the primary message that we want to send to you and that we want you to share with other people about this conference and our topics for this conference. The title, Accent on Youth, Self-Advocacy and Success. We have lots of workshops that talk about programs that teach our kids to talk about their issues, their problems, their illnesses, their diagnoses, whatever we want to call them. We have a lot of examples of that, particularly from the schools. That's very, very important. And what we need to do as we begin to realize that so many of our children's problems are not your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, bad mothering, what's that, refrigerator mothering that Sandy always says, schizophrenogenic families, you know, that's all baloney. And what we need to realize is that the kinds of treatments and supports that our kids need and can benefit most from are the same kinds of supports that most of us need and benefit from. For our kids, we need to do it more. We need to kick it up a few levels. And it's a matter of degree. But we have so many kids who have examples of successes, and our workshops throughout the next 2 days we'll talk about that with you. And we really wanted to start with Kenny because he is a super example of a kid who a lot of people said he can't do it. And believe me, Kenny does it. There's no question about that. I want to have Wayne Kusneri, who is our board vice president, speak because he stands in for Ginger. And I'd like him to just welcome you. Before that, there's a couple of housekeeping things. In your folders, you have a survey from Portland State University. Actually, I think they'll give you a couple bucks. If you send it in, they'll send you a couple bucks in the mail, I think is how this works, about family participation in your mental health planning process. It's this one. It's got a stamp on it, and it goes to Portland State University, and you have to sign a little piece of paper, a statement of willingness to participate in the study, and there's a letter that explains it to you. And if you are involved with mental health planning, if you didn't get one in your packet, stop and pick one up, because we started this sort of midstream because we realized the box had not gotten open. It was like some 80-pound box that we were trying to ignore. So you make sure you get this. Portland State does great research. They give us lots of information about how well systems are involving you in the planning for your kids. So please hook up with this. And the parent hospitality room is, where's Jindy?
393.
393. And Jindy and her friend Nancy are like, they are the mothers of us all. They are in there and they're going to make sure there's chips and pop and sparkling water and good conversation and all that stuff. So look to those guys for help. Tell us how to get to that room. What's the number again?
393, straight up the
393.
Elevator and to the left.
Up the lobby elevator to floor 3 and to the left. I need to talk. The auction is tonight from 7 to 9. It's a ton of fun. We will have live music. And we'll have a cash bar and wine and cheese. We hope all of you are there because it really is fun. And 90% of the items are totally donated without any cost to us. And so it's our major fundraiser of the year. So it's important, makes money, and it's fun. I don't know what else you could ask for. So we hope to see you there. And I'll turn this over to Wayne.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our conference. Sarah has mentioned most of the things that I was going to say already. Did everyone get their folder? If you haven't, you pick it up from the table just to the right there. All of our rooms are down this hallway here, except for the Waverly room, which is the other side of the lobby. It's the west side of the lobby, the small room over there. This is our 10th conference, and every year, you know, we really have a lot of people come, and a lot of interesting sessions and so on. Okay. Now I'd like to introduce Kenny Rogers, stand up here. His mother, Susan. They're from Dallas, Texas. And, they had to fly a long way, he said. They got stranded at the airport because nobody came to pick them up, but they made it okay now. Kenny has spoken at several conferences before, and you were at the Federation conference before, which the Federation of Families for Children Mental Health is a larger organization, this national organization, and ACMH is a chapter member of that organization. And they have a conference coming up in a few weeks. Usually about 20 or 30 of our people go to that conference, which is near Washington, D.C. Very interesting. And Kenny, he has overcome a lot of problems, but he's 18 years old, but he's really done a lot for his age. He's very interested in doing video work. Right? What else? About it? Okay. He's very intelligent. Are you ready to go? Okay. Oh, okay. This mother Susan wants to say a few words.
I'm Susan Rogers, and I'm Kenny's mother, and I'm real excited to be here with y'all today. Sarah wanted me to share a couple of things with you so that you understand kind of the background of where we're coming from inside of St. Dallas, Texas, which is a long way away by airplane. Some of what you're going to hear Kenny say, you can read a little bit about in some how-to. She's got the booklet that Kenny and I put together, Families as Care Coordinators, and we're actually going to sell it at cost to you guys, which was $2. That's what it cost to print it. So if you all want to get that, and it talks about how to help manage the care systems that are around you and get services and things for your kids. I think one of the most exciting aspects of being Kenny's mom is the fact that I have learned so much. I used to have a very lucrative career as an investigator, private investigator for insurance companies. We were heavily into ice hockey. We all know that the Dallas Stars are the Stanley Cup champions. And we're excited to have them. And when Kenny came along, it was a real eye-opener for us. Not only were we making a major shift in our careers, and we're taking on being child care workers. My husband and I in January will have been licensed child care providers for the state and for juvenile justice for 20 years in September. And we've helped raise, as of last week, 210 teenagers down through the years. And so Kenny has grown up sort of with an extended family. And I thought it was interesting. Wayne asked, he said, does Kenny have a girlfriend right now? And I said, well, no, girls aren't that, interesting to him. He lives in a house with 5 or 6 teenage girls. So it's like, no, been there, done that, seen them. They look really bad in the morning. So, he knows, and, but one of the things that I want to share with you that really changed my life as a parent in finding services, because it really did make that shift for me being able to obtain the services that Kenny needed, not what they had and wanted to give us. One day I was playing sick at home because I had a headache, and I thought, I'm just going to stay home. I'm not going anywhere today. And one of the things I heard was a football coach talking on a talk show, and one of the people asked him, how do you get to where you want to be? He was having conflict with his coaching staff, the owner was. And he says, well, I'll tell you what. Everybody needs to realize that I own the team. That means I call the shots. The manager may know how to do his thing. The coach knows where he wants to get for that game. He said, but I own the team. I was here when it started, and I'm going to be here when it finishes. And I call the shots. He said, they're all just my employees. And I don't know why, but for some reason, it struck me so odd that I own the team. And those people do work for me. And I'm no longer paying for those dues. If I'm having to look for services and go out and hunt, and I'm paying them for this. And it was so exhilarating to call around, to find some people, to meet a need that Kenny had, and be able to tell the doctor when he said, no, I don't operate that way. I'm in charge of that. And I said, well, I'm sorry, you can't be on the team because this truly is a team effort. Thank you, but no. And to walk out of there, and it was exciting to hear a year later him calling myself and one of the other doctors that we worked with and said, I really am interested in working with you guys. You guys are really stepping out there and pioneering out in some strange areas. And we had to say, sorry, I don't have a spot on my team for you. I'm all booked up. If I get an opening, I'll give you a call. And you know what that does to you? You hang up the phone and you go, yes! And I thought, that is so cool. And then I couldn't wait. I had to call Tim on the phone and say, guess who I told no? And he said, you never tell anybody no. And I said, yes I did. And it was exciting to be able to realize that truthfully, I own the team. And I know where Kenny wanted to be in 10 years, 15 years from now. And all they had was just the peripheral of the puzzle. And we all needed to work together to fill in the inside. And everybody had a piece. And it just felt so exciting to be able to say, no, I don't think so. We need for you to, stay on hold. So I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about him because he's going to tell you himself. And
Projector, you're on my list again.
We were just winding up. Y'all already know who I am. I'm here today to give you some words of encouragement and hope by sharing some of my successes with you. Because you see, without the collective help of people just like you, I would not be able to stand before you today. My biological mother was only 16 years old when I was born. Her intention was to either get an abortion or give me up for adoption. Her mother and grandmother convinced her that they would help if she kept the baby. Their intention was to control her with the baby. As we all know, very few 16-year-olds can be controlled, no matter what you use. Such was the case with my biological mother. After a short time, my mom did something to irritate her mother, and we were kicked out of the house. We then went to live with her grandmother. That too didn't last long. Eventually, we had to leave there as well. For the next 2.5 years, we went from place to place. All through this time, I ate very little and was hurt a lot. When Mom wasn't hurting me or allowing others to hurt me in ways that most of you can only imagine, she acted like she didn't even know I was there. Before leaving for that day, but my mom would prop me up with pillows and give me a bottle of milk and some potato chips. I would cry all night, cry until I couldn't cry anymore. Nobody came to help. People would walk past us and say what a cute toddler, but nobody helped. I remember that we lived in a car for a short time. While Mom put me in the trunk and told me to go to sleep. There was a light and all sorts of bugs kept flying around me. I was scared. I didn't talk, so all I could do was cry. I knew that my bottom line would come and hurt me, but I was not ready for what came next. She came out and closed the lid on the trunk. All those bugs were not right on top of me. When I cried, they got in my mouth. I squeezed my eyes shut real tight. I put my hands over my ears and pushed my lips together really tight. I cried and screamed all night, but nobody came because nobody heard me. I finally went to sleep. My mom was always doing things like that. It was hard for me to imagine now that there were people all around us and no one saw or knew that we were in trouble. Just one step ahead of CPS, my mom gave me to an agency and told them that she could no longer take care of me. They said that they would help by putting me in a foster home. During that time, I learned to say 60 words. I got shoes that fit so that I could walk, and I found out that I was pretty good at running too. But most of the time, I just sat and watched the people around me. They were kind. They didn't hit me or hurt me. Even when I cried, they tried to pick me up and try to help. Eventually, it was time to go back to Mom. She didn't like me anymore. I now talk, walk, and don't forget I could run. This also was good because we now could go. I could go and find my own food. I even learned to yell really loud and hang on to other people. What I wanted was for them to send me back to those foster people. But I also wanted to take my mom with me. The foster people always had people coming over to check up on us, to see how we were doing. No one ever came to help my mom and me. My mom called the agency again and said that she wanted to relinquish her rights and put me up for adoption. The agency thought that this was a good idea. I went to live with a new mom and dad. Thank God that they were trained childcare workers or none of us would have made it. They worked on my eating problem by putting Fruit Loops in little bowls all over the house. They gradually took them up one at a time until there was just one bowl left, and it would be filled only 3 times a day. As long as I could see food, I put it in my mouth. Who knew when I would get to eat next? I would eat until I threw up and then eat some more. Mom soon learned that to put just the filled bowls on the table and leave the food on the stove. That way I only ate what I needed. Since the time I started living with Mom and Dad, I can't ever remember being hungry. But it still makes me very nervous when Mom says that I can't have a snack because we are running to eat in a little bit. I can't explain it. It just makes me panic inside. Now that I had a new Mom and Dad, things were always happening. People came by to see how we were doing. We all laugh now and say that it took 10 people a day to help raise me in 2-hour shifts because I flat wore them out. It wasn't that I was a bad child, I was just hyper and curious. Like the time I climbed to the top of the 2-story building on campus. I just wanted to see where those birds went. Well, the time I ate the kitchen while Mom put up the milk. And there was a time that I glued the living room with 3 big bottles of Elmer craft glue. Well, I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And yes, it was me who washed the dog in the toilet. After stopping them with a rag and pouring in a whole bottle of Kermit the Frog bubble bath. He had messed his bath that week and was really dirty. But it wasn't me who caused the bubbles to go all over the floor and take 2 hours to clean up. That was Mom. She was the one who tried to flush the toilet in the first place. Of course I didn't tell her about the rag until afterwards. School has been a challenge as well. At first they said that I was educatively, mentally handicapped, whatever that is. And then I became attention deficit disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, and post-traumatic stress syndrome. All severe. Teachers struggle to understand. When I was in the 1st grade, my teacher tied me up with restraining belts and locked me in a closet because I refused to do a math paper. This caused me to have a complete emotional breakdown at the age of 6. My mom was frantic. There was no information on how to get the school to do what they should be doing. No one seemed to be able to help. Finally, Mom connected with Patty Durr. Patty showed my mom how to gather the right paperwork and helped her to find the right people who could make the school do the right thing. But this took 10 agonizing months. I recovered though with help and intervention of a lot of people. In the fall, Mom came to Washington, D.C. to be a part of a new group of parents and professionals. They wrote the names of the children on a big piece of paper and made a commitment to bring children's mental health issues to the forefront on a national level. Mom wrote my name really big on the paper and took a picture so I could see it. She told me that things were going to change. Little did we know at that time just how much people just like you would play a big part in our lives. The school told Mom that I would never read. Based on what I'm not sure, but Mom wouldn't hear of it. She got on the phone and called around to the parents and professionals, and that's something my mom taught me how to read. School was very hard because I didn't seem to fit in, and I couldn't figure out why. The Federation of Families Conference also gave Mom the courage to go back to the school and tell them that I was going to a homeschool and I would be in the regular class. ADHD or no ADHD, I could learn, and I was there to teach me. Again, with the input from people like you, we were able to come up with modifications and different techniques that worked. Our mental health authorities sent people to the school and the house, and they made a plan. It worked at home, and it worked at the after-school program, but not at school. It appeared that they were good at preserving the family, but not the school. 2nd and 3rd grade were better. 4th grade was a nightmare because the teachers had a better way. Naturally, it didn't work. 5th grade was great, and 6th grade was so-so. When I turned 13, everything changed. People called it puberty. I called it 7th grade. Things began to bother me a lot. The kids were mean to me. They would hit and kick me because they knew I didn't like to be touched. They stole my backpack and threw it down the hall. They ran me into the lockers and called me names. Finally, one day, I hit and kicked back. This was the first time that I had ever done anything like this. It took 3 adults to pull me off this kid. I began to have panic attacks at school, and they would lose me for long periods of time. All of this caused me to curl up into a violent state in the middle of my bed. My meds quit working. The doctors bounced me from one bed to another until finally I had such a severe reaction that my muscles began to retract and I looked like I had severe cerebral palsy. The doctor said that I probably had 10 minutes to live by the time I got to the hospital. After talking to a lot of parents just like you, Mom said enough, no more meds. Mom, the school, and those family preservation people worked together. My older brother moved back home and shared a room with me. He stayed until I started the 10th grade, just to be sure that I would be alright. This may not sound like a big deal to you, but how many 24-year-old brothers would do that just because you needed them? The visiting teacher came and taught me math and science at home. Mom taught reading and language, and Dad taught me history. He even went and sat right next to me every day for one period of computers so that I would still be connected to the school. The therapist at ACMH came by the house for therapy and called me just to talk. This made me feel better. Not enough to get me out of my room and go to McDonald's. That took 12 weeks. But I did get better. I wanted to go back to school, but I was afraid. The school wanted me back, and asked Mom what it would take to get me back in school the next year. I think it was the first time I ever heard my mom say, I have no idea, but I'll find out. Those of you who know my mom know that she always has an idea or opinion about everything. This time Mom got on the phone and the internet, and people just like you came up with some great suggestions. Mom developed a new curriculum. Family preservation agreed to teach everyone behavior interventions, and the school said okay. 8th grade was a huge success. I didn't miss a day of school. I made A's and B's. I even went on the 8th grade trip to San Antonio and the end of the year dance. That year was also good because I found out that not only did I have ADD, I also had Asperger's, a high-functioning level of autism. You see, I had a genius IQ. I just didn't like to have a lot of people around me or touching me. There was a bright light bothering me too. Starting high school was scary business. Those kids were huge. Family preservation worked with some key teachers and staff. The school gave me an aide to be with me all day. Everyone agreed that I wasn't the problem. It was the other kids who didn't understand that I was just like them, only different. The aide was there to make sure that I stayed on task and that no one irritated me. This helps a lot. Number one, the other kids leave me alone and I can learn. I like to learn, and I found out that I am very good at it. Number two, Mr. Campbell is my friend and mentor. We can talk about things and I know that he thinks that I'm a good kid. This helps me to feel safer and secure. He also helps me process right on the spot as things are happening. This has helped me understand people a lot better, a little better. Let me share some of what I have been able to accomplish with the help of people just like you. I spoke in front of the county commissioners about more funding for child and family services and the juvenile justice board for quicker assessments for youths who were being detained in the detention center. I spoke at some local, state, and national conferences, advocated in Austin and Washington on relinquishment of parental rights and transition services. I'm now branching out to become a keynote speaker nationally. This is fun. Having autism has its perks. I can speak to a lot of people and it doesn't bother me. I just pretend that you all aren't there. It works really well. Try it sometime. At school, I ran cross country for 2 years and improved my time each time I ran. It didn't matter that I finished last each time. The team got points for the improved time, and that helped put me on the district team. I took Spanish 1 and 2, speech and theater arts, classes that they said I wouldn't pass. Not only did I pass them, but as a sophomore, I was asked to join the National Honor Society and was inducted. I got to participate in youth leadership dialogues as well. These last two caused a few phone calls to attorneys because they never had one like me before. The attorney said that he didn't care if I was special or not. If I took the same classes as everyone else, I was it. I mentor several special kids to try to help them through their freshman year of high school. I applied for broadcast journalism and got one of the 10 spots allotted to my school. And this year, I am a webmaster in multimedia. I participated with our local cable TV station by filming special events. For the past 2 years, I have filmed all the football games for our head coach at school. He said that I did a better job than the district person. He gave me a football jacket with a letter, and I didn't even have to play football. I plan to go on to college if everyone can figure out how to help me be and get around in that bigger environment. I tell you all this because none of it could have happened to people just like you had it came to my rescue. Oh yes, that is exactly what it was. The doctors told my mom that I wouldn't have lived another 3 days if they hadn't adopted me. I wanted to come here today and personally thank each and every one of you for all your hard work and efforts on behalf of children with emotional, behavioral, and mental health issues. I hope in sharing my story, you can realize that in your commitment to being here at this conference and sharing with others, you help and touch more lives than you can imagine. I wanted you to hear about just one and encourage you to keep going until every kid has a chance to realize their dreams just like I am. That's it.
This multitude of wires. I'm going to step up here so you guys can see me to know I'm really serious.
You can fall off from there.
This presentation is very, very important to me. I don't know how you guys were feeling over the last year as we were bombarded with episodes of school violence. And in so many cases, as we began to hear the details of incidents of school violence, we heard that those kids were in special education, that those kids sometimes were receiving mental health treatment. We heard that those kids were marginalized in the school settings. We heard that those kids were harassed in the school settings, and we heard that those kids were actually socially tortured in the school sessions by their peers. It was very, very difficult for me to focus on the gun thing and the bomb thing and the weapon thing personally, though I think that's an element in it, and I think that's very important. But there's a heck of a lot of other people out there who are working and worrying about weapons. Then there are people who are worrying about our kids and worrying about kids who may not be our kids, may not have ever had any kind of serious mental illness, but are just a little different. And one of the things that I kept coming up with in my head is, how do we create positive emotional environments in our schools. Our kids' lives are conducted to a great deal in the schools. And the things that they do after school are usually something that emanates from the school as well. And I was just stuck on this, and I kept saying this thing about positive emotional environment. That's what we need. We need to have everybody in our schools valued. And of course, nobody else was calling it that, so it was hard for me to connect with people who were working on this and thinking about it. And so one of the first things, as I started to think now, okay, if it's a, you know, what's the different terminology? I immediately thought of Ann Smiley, who has talked about conflict resolution at other conferences for us. She's worked on community-based and she's done a lot of things I don't even know about, but I certainly thought Ann's the right place to start. And what Ann told me when I started saying, well, this is what I'm calling it, positive emotional environments in the schools that also incorporate and value kids who are different, she said, hey, we have got it. It is happening at Otto Middle School right here in Lansing. And so we quickly tried, you know, this is in the summer, of course. So we were quickly leaving messages and calling ISDs and all this other stuff. And we got to Mary Zaney's name. And Mary Zaney responded. And I would like to have Ann open it up by talking. I'd like you to just give a little bit of history of where you came from and how you got to this spot. And then I'd like Mary to talk about that. Mary is a staff member of the Peace Partners effort at Otto Middle Schools. She's also a parent. She's had, a half a dozen kids go through Otto Middle School. So she can give you a nice long-term perspective on what's happened at this public school in Lansing over, I don't know how many years those 6 kids took to get through there, but anyhow, about 7, you know, but anyhow. So Mary's going to be able to talk about this. I think this is one of the most critical things that we need to do because this is something that's for all kids. It incorporates our kids, and Mary will be able to talk to you about what happened when they developed a program for the whole school, but how other kids got involved. And so I'm just really delighted to introduce both of them today, and I do want you to know that kids from the program will be here to do a workshop this afternoon, so you will get to see some of their students and mentors, and they've got all kinds of different job descriptions for their kids. So let me turn this over to Ann, and thank you.
And this is one of my favorite things, is to talk about how you plant little seeds, and what happens out of those seeds is just an incredible tree of wonderful fruits. How I got here is just an amazing road, paving roads. You just get really, really tired of paving roads. It hurts when you bang your head up against concrete for a long time. But what happened over at Otto is just an incredible, I think, evolution of what we can do in schools. I got started, one of those parents said I went to school, after my kids started school, I went back to school. And then my very last term in communications, I went through Bill Donohue's class in conflict and communication, and he was talking about divorce mediation. And it's the first time I ever heard the word mediation in about 1986. And I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. So I haven't grown up yet, but what I've discovered in that journey is lots of different kinds of ways that mediation works. I've been trained in divorce mediation and community mediation and real estate mediation, but my real love was school mediation. So I got some training from community boards in school mediation, and then talked with Ann Blair over at Gardner Middle School and Carol Lamphere over at Gardner in Lansing about 7 years ago, and said, could we try this program here? And it was Ann's unconditional support that said, yes, we will do this. So the very first year, I worked voluntarily with several staff members and with Ann to do a pilot program over at Gardner. And the next year, Otto said, well, we want that program here. So there was a small group of staff from Otto and a wonderful group of parents that said, yeah, we want to try this here. So through professional development the second year, we did a program over at Otto. And what we did was we got together an interested group of, a dedicated group of parents and staff and trained them through the summer. And my concept was, first I'll train a group of adults who will then train the kids so that the program will sustain itself. So the second year over at Otto, it was Mary and Mary's two boys who happened to be 7th graders at the time, 2 twins, and then Eddie, a 6th grader, who were part of that program. And we had, all this was all volunteer, except that we had like a $500 stipend to pay our coordinator, who was Irene Meyer, who will be here later this afternoon. And so those little seeds started, and we started out with lip service support from the administration. The first year we were there, they said, yeah, you can do this, but they weren't really gung-ho about it. It was really the coordinator and the group of parents that were really 100% behind it. And that first year we had parents come in and monitor the kids the first year. So it was all pretty much volunteer. And then we operated out of a little kitchen. They gave us this little tiny kitchen to do our mediations in, and it was quite a struggle to find the place and the time, and just a real effort to keep it going. But the second year at Otto, that was the year that we began the Youth Violence Prevention Coalition, and that was a collaborative effort between the county, Ingham County, and the city of Lansing to do comprehensive planning for violence prevention. And it was through a grant from the Office of Juvenile Justice that we received monies to operate programs in schools. And Otto was one of the recipients, and the other recipient was Stockbridge, who wanted an urban and a rural setting. And so it was from the grant from the Office of Juvenile Justice that we were able to really develop a program that had a lot more possibilities for expansion. So it was that second year that with the Youth Violence Prevention Coalition that we were able to do a very comprehensive program that included conflict resolution training in an elementary school, a peer mediation program in the middle school, and another program in a high school. And so that became the Peace Connection with Geyer Park and Otto and then Eastern High School. And what has happened since then has just been an incredible celebration, incredible evolution of what the potential is, with lots more collaborations that Mary has put a lot of work into, and it has a really exciting presentation for you. But it's been, I started the ball rolling and planted the seed, but it was really folks like Mary, who was a dedicated parent, and Irene, who was a dedicated parent, that really developed it into a program that has been just a phenomenal celebration. And we have just received this year, and Mary's going to tell you more about this, we received an exemplary award from the Safe and Drug-Free Schools program, one of 8 schools, I don't know if they're all schools, across the nation. Plus, we just received a huge federal grant from Safe and Drug-Free Schools to really implement a very thorough, comprehensive violence prevention programs for Lansing schools. It's a 3-year program. And again, it's a model that we want to replicate for as many schools as possible. It's just been a wonderful celebration. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary, and she can add what I forgot. She's got the whole works.
Hi, my name is Mary Zaney, and I really thank you for the opportunity to be here today to talk to you about our program. First and foremost, I am a parent. I have 6 children, 5 boys and 1 girl. My daughter falls in the middle. And I know whenever she goes anyplace, she knows how to handle herself because of the 5 brothers above her and below her. No one is going to intimidate Nancy, that is for sure. When I first came to Lansing, my oldest son was going to be a student at our middle school. And we came from a very small school district, not very diverse. And I was faced with a 3-floor building that looked like the high school that I went to in Detroit. I mean, it was really old. I was worried. I was very concerned. But we put Robbie there, and I started to get involved because I wanted to make sure the building that he was going to was something I knew about. and joined PTA and just started being a chaperone at dances and things like that. And my participation and involvement grew at Otto as my second child, Rashad, and then Nancy got to Otto. The end of Nancy's 8th grade year, we had a couple of unfortunate incidents that were quite violent. They made the news. I think even before the one time the ambulance got there, the news crew was there. And we knew something had to be done. And so a group of parents had heard about Ann and what they were doing at Gardner Middle School, and we said, we want that for our building, let's see what we can do. And we discovered several things. And the first thing was, and I don't know if you're going to be able to, I'm machine impaired, by the way. Is that pretty straight? That looks good. I brought a little video that we discovered, and I think that's the whole philosophy behind our program. And it really says what we feel. And it's what we're trying to instill in all of our students.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, by and by. It's in every one. Know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remembered. It's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but my seeing's better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and watching only half of the show. But there is scenery and lights and the cast of thousands who won't know what I know. And it's good that it's so. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up your eyes. We can all
parent training or a student training with that video, because that's really, really and truly what we believe, that all of our students, all of our staff, and all of our parents can recognize differences in our students, in all of us, but still get along as a peaceful. Years ago, our students weren't feeling connected, and we did have problems. The conversation at my dinner table at night was how many fights went on in the halls at Otto, who was after who, just those kinds of things. It wasn't a good place. And our parents and staff got together, and we said, we kids, we want to work with our student body. And so that's when we called in and started to work on some ideas to change things at Otto. And I want to tell you, the key role in this is parents. Parents are important. None of these things would have happened if we didn't have parents who were willing to give time and effort to our cause. Our PTA was a very strong to Otto. One of them was a school-based health center, and I have to say that's probably another catalyst that has made some wonderful changes in our building. But we have a health center that's staffed by our county health department, and they take care of our kids during the day. Students can make appointments and get passes and see a nurse practitioner or a physician, because we are now a rotation on the MSU Pediatric Clinic for nurses and doctors. So if they're sick, they have a place that they can go and get treatment before they just go to the office and have an excuse to get out of the building. No one was qualified to see if they were really well enough to leave the school, and many times they did. And so we had students on the streets. As we got that involved in place at our school, our Peace Center was born, and we had wonderful parent participation with that. We had volunteer parents monitoring mediations. So we never left students alone trying to solve a problem. There was always a monitor, not necessarily to put their 2 cents in, but they were there just as a calming force, or I don't want to use force, not force, as a calming presence, calming influence. And our mediation started to catch on. Our students were committed. I have to tell you, my youngest son said, I don't think I want to do that. And I said, oh yes you do. And now he's one of our most articulate students, and he's out speaking at many conferences and talking to legislators about these things that have made a difference in his school. And he says, why put money into prisons? Why can't we have funding for prevention to get things like what I'm involved in other buildings of the state, because this is important to me. So, but having this effort of really concerned and committed parents really helped to start to change, be a catalyst, and change things in our building. Now, Ann did speak to you somewhat of the history of the program. I will add to this, my boss was told by her supervisor, how would you like to go in and change the climate at Otto Middle School? How would you like to go in and reduce violence in that school by a noticeable percentage? And she said, I don't think I'd like to do that. And they said, oh, but you're going to. And I have to tell you, she's been a leading force in our being able to change and work in our building, and we have done that. Was there anything, Ann, that you'd like to add? No. To this, it was like climbing a mountain. Everything didn't come all at once. We did have some periods where we leveled off, and then we started to, climb up again. but it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride for the past 4 years. And we didn't go in with just a club and say to our principal, you are going to do this. We were a little more tactful. We had heard about something called invitational schooling and thought maybe we can start to change some of the ways our staff is thinking by being inviting to them. I'm sure you've walked into buildings before, or you've walked into a building and there's been a cluster of staff people over by the office. No one broke away to say, hello, how are you? Who are you? How can I help you? Have you been in that position before? I know I still at times have a hard time going into my children went to 2 different high schools. The one high school, I really have a hard time going in there because it does feel cold and uninviting to me. And we hoped as a group that if we could kind of change that atmosphere, because we were hearing from parents, you know, maybe Otto isn't really inviting. I feel really intimidated when I go in there. Gee, maybe we needed to do something about that to begin with. So we started with the idea that we were going to change behavior at Otto. We wanted a peaceful place. So Irene Meyer got on the computer and we started designing banners. And every door that you come into at Otto, you now see an inviting banner that says, welcome to our school. You're entering a peaceful school. You're entering a peace zone. So visitors to our school see that, students to our school see that, and you know, most importantly, our staff, when they walk in the door, they're seeing it too. And so it really helped everyone to start, hey, this is a peaceful place. This is peaceful. We started students. Anytime a student would come down for a mediation, we started our students saying, you've got a few minutes extra, why don't you sit down and draw us a poster? And we came up with the idea, we dubbed it peace art. You walk through our building at Otto, on every floor, you will see peace art throughout the building, telling students, reminding students, don't fight, mediate. Don't hesitate, mediate. This is a peaceful school. You see all kinds of those wonderful symbols from the 60s when we were teenagers, you know. They've been reborn on the walls at Otto again. So you see peace signs. You see the handshake. You see the yin-yang. You see all kinds of things that our students have discovered. And they're saying, hey, this is pretty cool. And we have just inundated the building with those kinds of things. We have bulletin boards all through the building too, on several floors, showcases. If there's an empty space, Irene Meyer has found it, and I'm going to tell you, she's put something peaceful in there. So our whole atmosphere started to change. We then started giving presentations to staff and to classrooms on just what mediation was. Now that first year when we trained mediators, Anne, when you did that, how many students did you have? Do you remember? About 14 students. Last year, and Irene's in the process this year of getting some nominations together for mediators. And where we had 14 the first year, last year we had 130 students in our building, and our total population is about 850, 860 of students. And that was just in the 6th grade that wanted to be mediators. What she's done is every year now that we've been on a roll for a while, all we have to do is train 6th grade mediators because they're with us for 3 years. So if you're a mediator in 6th grade, you're going to be in 7th and 8th grade too. And then she only has to train a few extras in 7th and 8th grade if they've moved away. But our students now, when they've come to Otto and been at Otto, they know the conflict. That's the only way we deal with conflict, is through mediation. That's the preferred way, the most acceptable way, and it's the way that their peers do it too. So it doesn't matter if you're in a special ed room, a visually impaired room, or mainlined, mainstreamed, you receive a presentation from Irene Meyer and her cast of mediators, and they talk about mediation. We've got everyone thinking peace now. I'm telling you, everyone, for the most part, has peaceful thoughts at Otto. And I've got to tell you, my dinner table changed from how many fights there were at Otto for the day to how many mediations my boys did. And it's carried through to our house. For those of you who all have children, you know how rough and tumble it can be sometimes. My kids they don't do that as much. And it's really nice as a parent to see that, you know, instead of before they'd shove one another into the wall if they're walking down the hall and, you know, you're in my way. Now they, you know, excuse me. And it wasn't from lack of trying to teach them you don't shove one another out of the way. It's just something that really was sort of born, I really think, because they can take ownership of being a mediator. They can start to solve their problems without me getting involved. Our first group of mediators chose their name, and it was the Out of Diversity mediators. For those of you who are from out of town or out of state, Otto is an urban school, and we have very many ethnicities in our building. We have students from Kosovo. We have students from Iraq. We have students from Iran, Haiti, Cuba, France. Russia has somebody who's come from that country. So we have diverse capabilities, diverse ethnicities, and there's a language barrier sometimes. Our first mediators recognized that right off the bat. We had quite a diverse group that first year, and they came up with a name, Out of Diversity Mediators. And as I said before, we then went into the classrooms and did presentations in all the classrooms. No one escaped the not for prime time players, not ready for prime time players of Otto Middle School. It's a 12-hour training, and our students do a wonderful job with that. It's evolved now. It used to be that we had students come in on Saturday. Now we do 2 trainings during the week, and then we finish up after school the following week. So students all have the chance to do the role play activities that are part of that training. Our mediators, after those presentations have been given to the classrooms, Irene collects slips. She talks to the students about what it means to be a mediator. They have the chance to ask mediators who are in the building at the time, you know, what is it like to be a mediator? What skills do I need to bring? They are self-nominated. They fill out the form, comes to Irene, and she tries to keep a wide range of skill levels, ethnicity groups represented in our mediators. Now, how many of you know that all the problems in the building came from those all-A students? It didn't happen. If our group, if you come to our mediators and take a look at our group, you will find they are not all-A students. We might have a couple represented. One time Irene did a mediation. She was sitting in on a mediation, and one of the disputants said to the mediator, "How would you know what I'm feeling? You don't live where I live. You don't know what I know." And that right there was a clue. You definitely have to keep it diverse. You have to have different people with different interests represented in our mediators. And when Irene sets up a mediation, she really tries, when she reads the sheet, she can judge pretty much who would be 2 good mediators to bring in, because we have 2 mediators along with the 2 disputants, and they're done one-on-one. We don't have a group on one end of the table with 1 student on the other end. feeling really intimidated. It's strictly done on a very confidential, one-on-one basis and really works well. When students come for mediation, it's done because they've been referred. They can refer themselves. They might recognize they're having a problem with another student and want to get in to talk about that problem they're having with that student. A teacher, administrator, or a parent can call us and say, my son or my daughter is having trouble with somebody named Johnny. Could you take a look and see if you could bring them into the table? We had one just yesterday where a lady called in. It was a parent. She said, my daughter's having a rough time today, or I had a rough time today with so-and-so. Could you arrange for mediation tomorrow? And she says, because we do, don't let her know that it's me. But we have parents advocating for their children constantly in our building, and it really is working in our mediation process because we do have parents call. We do have them say, my child is having a hard time with so-and-so. I think he's being bullied or whatever. And we get to it and we take care of it. Our students don't lose academic time. At Otto, we have a lunch period that's divided. Half is eating time and half is something called transition. Other schools call it different names, but it's a downtime. It replaced recess. They left recess behind in elementary. And it gives us a chance to have a great time to handle the problems that are going on in the building. And so those are handled at lunchtime unless it's a really serious situation where we do have to pull, where security in our building might say there's a fight that's going to happen right after school. Can we pull these kids and see if they'll talk about it to avoid that fight? And it's working. Our suspensions are down for violent behavior, our fights are down, and our number of mediations are up considerably on a daily basis, which Irene and our staff might be handling 7 or 8 or 9 a day. And that's really, the way I look at it is we're avoiding 9 potential fights in our building, 9 potential ways of our kids being hurt at school. And it's accepted. It's an accepted way to take care of problems that are going on in our building. And actually, I do have another video, and it's our original mediators talking about what it's like to be a mediator.
Okay, our camp counselor told us that we could go into the game room, so I was just dancing around and stuff, and then he comes in, pops out my tape and puts in his chest tape, and just starts listening to it, and I thought that was amazing. How do you feel about this?
Well, actually, I'm kind of angry, because he could have turned it down when I came in the room or something, or, stop dancing or something like that.
These are the sounds of peacemaking at Otto Middle School. Since August of last year, Irene Meyer has been training both kids and adults on the rules of compromise and understanding.
And we found that when kids can sit down and talk about the problems and come to their own solution, that they're much more apt to stay with that solution than if the principal says, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do that.
Today, 8 students were awarded with certificates for their peer mediation abilities. Some even plan to go into public relations when they grow up, like Jesse Stoll, who designed the logo for Otto's mediating team.
It gives the students a reassurance that you don't have to fight to solve a problem, and the fights will stop pretty much.
Right now, there are 31 students and 5 teachers who are trained in peer mediation, and they hope that number will grow because students, teachers, and parents will all tell you it definitely works for the kids.
I've seen a lot of reduction in fights at home and the fights my son's letting here in school.
That we trained 31 mediators by the end of that first year. We're now up to 60 mediators, and we have well over 150 students wanting to be trained as mediators every year. And That's how our Peace Partner Club was born. To really keep students interested in peer mediation, they need to be able to be using those skills on an ongoing basis. And so we had to limit the number of kids that we would train in peer mediation. But we opened up our Peace Partner Club to deal with the overflow of students who wanted to be trained. And we do offer conflict resolution skills that we work on throughout the year. But it's open to everyone. And someone once said, if you feed them, they will come. Well, we had 49 students last Wednesday come to our Peace Partner group. It has grown. Our students, it's open to everyone in our building, and our students love to come. Our friends who had been trained as a mediator. Now, we're getting referrals constantly, not only from our administrative team, but from the Student Service Department downtown. Sometimes when students are having real problems in a building and they're suspended several times consistently because of behavior, they're suspended to student services. And our student services staff heard about our program and thought, what a great way we can connect the kids that are having trouble in school, getting along with others, to the building. Maybe they'll start to feel an ownership in that building. And so our Peace Partners, who were doing some community service things in the neighborhood, started to accept kids. And they did a small study down at Student Services and found one boy in particular who had been suspended 17 times. Once he started coming to Peace Partners, I think he had one more suspension after that. And now he's in 8th grade, and he's doing a fine job. We have several adults who are involved in our Peace Partner activities. We break this large group into several smaller groups, so it's easier for one adult to work with 5 or 6 at a time. We have our community service station, and we've adopted a Meals on Wheels route in North Lansing, and we partner with EDS, and we do the projects for the Meals on Wheels recipients, and EDS, when they deliver the Meals on Wheels, or the meals to the homebound, they're the ones that are delivering our little projects. We do cards and we do letters. We've done Halloween pumpkin cups, we've done turkey cups. At Christmas time, we've sent home boxes that were wrapped, and they were filled with lots of little gifts that our Peace Partners had collected from home or from the staff or from EDS. They brainstormed ideas, and they thought, now what would my grandma or grandpa like if they were homebound? And our kids came up with some wonderful ideas. And they did a great job at collecting and wrapping and getting those boxes to Meals on Wheels. We also adopted homeless children. They got a meal at 4 o'clock and then didn't have a snack before they went to bed. And so we decorated bags, collected snacks once again from EDS, from our staff. Kids brought things in, and they stuffed those bags, and we delivered them to different points in town who handle the homeless population, and they were able to get snacks out to those kids so they didn't go to bed hungry. Being the mother of 6, I know kids are hungry 5 minutes after you feed them dinner, so it's helped our community in many ways. We play games. We have Connect 4, and I'll tell you, at Otto Middle School, we have a number of students who consider themselves Connect 4 champions because they've played Connect 4 over and over and over again, but our kids love it. We have sport activities. We have college interns who have enormous amounts of energy, and they love kids, and they work with our program, and they take groups out to either the playground or the gym. Sometimes we've even had bowling in the hallway. But our kids come, and they just love being with Barney or Mike or Cameron, who who's ever in charge of the sporting activity that day. And it's really a lot of fun. And I have a tape. I'll show you somewhat of what we do, and you can see some of the staff that work with our program. But one event that we held last year, towards the end of the school year, was called Special Night for a Special Person. And we invited our peace partners and our mediators, if they wanted to come for a dinner at school. There's no cost involved. We got a little mini grant and provided the food. And then our students could bring someone who was really special to them in their life. And so we had, probably 20 students take advantage of that opportunity. And we saw parents in a building that we'd never seen before. And it was really and truly a wonderful event. Our students had the chance to say why that person was special to them. Some of them brought their parents, some brought a mentor, some brought grandparents. It was just a really wonderful experience for us. And as we sat at the table that night and talked with the people that were sitting at our tables with us, we had so much fun just remembering fun activities that we had done in school with the students and really encouraging their special person to come back and be with us that night. We had little gifts on the table. It was really a very, very affirming thing that our students were able to be a part of. I'll show you now our Peace Partners video, and don't be frightened by the teeth. And is the volume okay? Can you hear in the back?
Connect floor, sandwich snacks, skip bowl, archery ground, and after that I will eat a Snickers bar. I'm gonna tear it up.
This is one of our college interns.
Snickers bar. Go. Alright, he's Miss Sadie, Miss Rojas, in charge of the snack table today. Hey! Okay, can you tell me what we have on snacks today?
Our students are able to decorate sugar and they're growing frosting. And they'll have water to go with that too.
Okay.
They don't get to eat their cookie. They have to just decorate it for the piece of it.
Okay.
Here's a bag of nuts.
How y'all doing?
Hi, my name's Paul Tucker, and I love these partners because we do a lot of fun stuff in the club. We do art, activities, they go outside and play football sometimes, once in a while play ping pong. It's really great. We got a lot of nice friends here.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Thank you, Paul. What's going on with the cookies here?
Pretty good.
Oh, my battery is going low. Okay, talk to me. What you got all on there? What's your name? Okay, Stephanie. What's all on there, Stephanie?
It's 51 degrees.
All right, what's going on today in the weather?
It's 54 degrees.
Why are you walking so close, news reporter? Come on, give me the news report. What are we doing out here? What's going on? First, say your name. You got to be like on such and such Peacemakers News. What?
I'm Angela Whiteford and I'm Peacemakers News.
Okay, what's going on?
Well, right here it's freezing right now outside. We have people playing kickball, people playing football, and just fun. But it's freezing. All we all doing is people are now.
So do you think they need coats out here?
Yeah, even though I don't have my coat.
See? Uh-huh.
I didn't bring mine.
All right, thank you for today's news. Hey, what's going on? What happened? You gonna be all right for next week's game? Huh? All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna let him get his rest. Let him get ready for next week's big Peacemakers football game. Right now, I'm gonna get some live coverage. Live coverage of the game. Yes. We're walking out here for the live coverage. This is looking good, ladies and gentlemen. Looking good. So nice pass there by Eric Jackson. Oh. He down to. Let's go. Yeah, we still walking this way. Seems like I'm getting closer and closer. It feels like I'm on the field, ladies and gentlemen. Just, it's something we do here, just like to have fun. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is a game. Nice game. Nice game going. Nice little action. What kind of cadence is Mr. Jackson using? No one knows. Oh, good catch. Good completion. Oh, turn it up. He's done, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go check out the kickball, and I'll be right back. Looks like dodgeball. Who's she chasing? She's going to hit her with the ball? I see a lot of screaming around. Oh, she made it almost went off. So can somebody tell me, what are we playing?
Freeze ball.
Oh, freeze ball? How you freeze?
She touches the ball. And she touches the ball.
I think I'm going to play with the camera. This looks really interesting. What you do? You yell freeze or what? Oh, you unfreeze them by touching them. Okay. All right. This is a nice way to stay warm. I think she's gonna be it all day.
Actually, it's frozen. Oh,
Head down. Freeze off. I should get her off here. Let's go.
Never get the blue.
Who's this? No, that's number 5. Just get off the
Oh my.
Every time we get the ball, we score.
Good catch. Hey, give me some showtime.
I'm going to stop it there. These are the kind of activities that we do with Peace Partners. Our kids come and come and come and bring their friends. We have 4 young men who are college interns that do a lot of the sports outside. Inside we have another girl who's a college intern in addition to Irene Meyer, who's a coordinator, her assistant Delanne Williams, and myself. I happen to run the snack table, and it's a time where we sit down and it's almost like having dinner in a family. We've discovered a lot of kids don't have that in their home. And so just by sitting down and talking what you're doing this weekend, lots of times if it's 8th graders, we talk about high school. That happens to be where my younger children are now. And so they'll ask me questions about high school and what's going on at Sexton or what's going on at Eastern. We just connect in many ways. And then when I see them in the halls during the week, we can, even continue that conversation. Last year at Easter time, we dyed Easter eggs. And our students had a wonderful time doing that. It's been a long time, either since they've done it or they never had much of an opportunity to do it at home. And it really lets kids be kids, gives them activities to share with one another. If you'll notice in the video, you didn't see, they were playing. It wasn't pushing, shoving, name calling, any of those things. Right at the beginning of the meeting, we'll say, we go over the ground rules, no pushing, shoving. Actually, be respectful of one another. No matter where you come from, no matter what you're doing, be respectful of one another. We've had students come from our visually impaired program. Last year, we had a girl who came every other week because the other week she did something else. And she had a great time. Our students helped her navigate in the room. She ate snack with everybody. She did craft projects with everybody. We've had students come from other countries that never had tasted salsa and chips before, and it was really interesting to see this young man's face when he bit into that Dorito for the first time. It's been rewarding for me as a person because I've been able to share the joy that all of our students have when they come to our group. Last year we had a power outage towards the end of the year due to a storm that came through, and it was a Tuesday, which happened to be the night that we were holding Peace Partners. When we got to school on Wednesday, constantly, students were coming up to say, well, we're having Peace Partners tonight, aren't we? Couldn't have it last night, we're having it tonight. So it's really filled a need at Otto, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful addition to the things that we're able to offer, because most of these students never played on a sports team, and I think that's why football and basketball and bowling, whatever we offer, is so popular, because they've never been chosen to be on that sports team. They've never been able to feel the rush you get if you make a winning touchdown or whatever. And so our club has provided them that opportunity. We welcome parents to come in and help us out, and that's happened on occasion. So it's really a great place to be on Wednesday nights at Otto because our kids are having a lot of fun. At the beginning, we had talked about some of the violence that was going on in our schools, and we happened along a video called Break the Code of Silence, Save a Life. And last year at Otto, we did a presentation in all of our 8th grade classrooms. And once again, everybody, if you were an 8th grader, you were involved in those presentations. And it's a true life video about what happens one day when a weapon does find its way into school. Before the video is shown, like the day before, the students were given a pre-test. Would you tell if you knew someone had a weapon in school or something that was dangerous in school? Then we showed them the video the next day and did a post-test and talked about violence in their lives. It's not uncommon for some of our students to have been involved in some violent acts or seen violent acts in their lifetime. So it was really an eye-opener, I think, for everyone. And as the post-test came through, and as we stressed the confidentiality of the whole thing about reporting a weapon in our building, our students started to change their minds. In the beginning, a lot of them said, I wouldn't tell. And this is something that we've been able, and we plan to do this year throughout the district with our middle and high school students, to open that door of communication with all of our students about reporting those weapons. What's been a great thing for me is how we've been able to connect with elementary buildings, high school buildings, and community people in the Lansing area. We started strong at Otto. We wanted to have a firm basis, a rock, so to speak, of what we could branch out from. And so that's what we did at Otto first. And then we started, I think our first activity was a club fair where we invited students from Eastern High School who participated in clubs, who participated in sports, to come into our building where our students still felt safe and secure and talk about what goes on in high school. So our 8th graders had the opportunity to go through a convention, so to speak, and meet the people who were on the basketball team and meet the kids who belonged to Key Club and talk to the people from the choir. It was just a wide range of activities that went on in high school. And it gave our 8th grade students, all of our 8th grade students who are thinking, I'm going into a larger building than I'm leaving, and where a lot of dropout activity occurs. A lot of 9th grade students do drop out of high school, we lose them right there. Trying to build some bridges and make some safe havens for our incoming 9th graders at the high school level. And I will tell you, our mediators are a part of that team that go in, and we try and adopt our outgoing 8th graders that are going into the high school and make sure that they get involved in a mediation program that goes on at Eastern High School. If that's, our school kind of divides, and half of our students go to one high school and half go to another. So we really try and sort of be that welcoming, that knock down the barrier type of group to let when our 9th graders come in, so we can help them to feel really comfortable at Eastern High School. On the elementary level, we also started training some mediators, and they're conflict managers on the playground. I know everybody in elementary school has a lot of energy, because I was one of the people who went over to the elementary building and helped with that training and started going to the building every day to be on the playground for those conflict disputes. And when our conflict managers hit the playground, I don't think our lunch aides were really prepared for the great job that our kids can do in sort of spotting conflict and helping the situation diffuse. You don't end up with 20 kids in the principal's office because someone pushed me in the mud or pushed me off the playground or pushed me down the slide or whatever, because they were able to handle it either on the playground or in a small, quiet, peaceful area that we established for the mediations to occur. It was a great program. The principal at the elementary building that we were in noticed a difference almost immediately. And when I give you these stories, I do have statistics to back it up. These aren't just feel-good things. These things are really, really working. And when we can show the numbers to the number crunchers and give our stories of really heartfelt passion for what's going on, that's what really forges community links. And we've been able to partner with community mental health. We've been fortunate enough to have Dr. Barry Kaufman come in and actually talk to our special ed groups about bullying behaviors that the other students might have, and work with some of the special ed kids on how they carry themselves in the hall. Makes a big difference. if you walk all bent down and hunched and look afraid, you're going to be a target. And Dr. Kaufman does a wonderful presentation and worked really, really hard with our kids. And it really helped everyone to gain a lot more confidence in themselves just by knowing some of those things. And we've had partnerships with the Youth Violence Prevention Coalition, with MSU County Extension. They're just so numerous to our health department. Part of having that in-school health center, when kids are feeling sick, especially in the morning, they say, oh, I have a stomach ache, and they go to the health center, the nurse can ask them, did you eat breakfast this morning? And many of our kids just ran out the door, didn't eat breakfast. So they might be able to offer a juice and some crackers or something like that to help get them through the day. But it's just all the partnerships that have now converged on Otto and how we're all collaborating and working together that really has made this a peace connection. It has made a chain of peaceful collaboration, peaceful links. And we're really, really proud of what has gone on at Otto. And our list of awards might help some of those number crunchers in the group see that, yes, we have a proven track record. We started out with the Movers and Shakers Award in North Lansing and progressed this year to getting 2 awards from the Urban League of Lansing, one for our Peace Partner group and one for our Peer Mediation group, because they are making a difference in our building. We are a model program from the Juvenile Justice Department, and as was said earlier, we did receive the National Award from Safe and Drug-Free Schools, and it is an exemplary status. And we just received a grant of $2.8 million a year for the next 3 years from this Safe Schools, Healthy Students Initiative. And our mayor in Lansing has been very actively involved. He's actually come out and been a disputant along with our representative, Lynn Martinez, right in our school when I was speaking of some of the presentations that we give to teachers and to students. And they got really involved in a role play. It's just amazing, amazing how everyone has just jumped on board and really been strong proponents of the program. I'm winding up again with parents are important, and because we know that parents are important, we developed several things. We have our parent bags. When a student has been suspended and their parent has to come in for a conference, they make a stop at our Peace Center. When they come to the Peace Center, they see me and I talk to them. You know, with my large family, I have been on the other side of the table. My kids have been suspended from school. And so I know what it's like, and you don't feel very, very good about yourself when your student has been kicked out of school for fighting. And I can say to them, I know just how you feel. I've been there more than once. And I can give them a bag. We collaborated with PTA. We have school magnets that have the school phone numbers on them. We have parenting information. We can hook them up with parenting classes. If they're having problems and they want some help, we can help steer them in the right direction. We have our Family Peace Project, and actually I have it in my bag of show and tell, but time is running short, so I won't pull it out. But it's a backpack with a video. It's animated, it's age appropriate for kindergarten through 5th grade, along with a reading book and discussion materials that goes home with our elementary school students. And they have a chance to take that backpack home. And also in the backpack is some popcorn. Share the popcorn with their family and talk about violence issues. Talk about when I get mad. Talk about discrimination. Talk about all kinds of things, because the videos bring those issues up. And we've had wonderful comments. Parents will say, I forgot you know, how important it is to sit down with my child, and this was a great way to sit down, watch what they're watching, and talk about the issues that it brought up. PTA is another wonderful resource that all of our buildings have, and that our PTA really goes out and tries to enlist our parents and get them involved in school, because there's so many opportunities in a school building to be involved. And we hope that our staff realizes that our parents are extremely important at Otto Middle School, Geyer Park Elementary, and Eastern High School, and soon throughout the whole district. We want to give them the opportunity to contribute, and all of our parents and students are truly valued in our school environment. And I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here today. And if you have any questions, I guess I'll entertain them now.
What about like bringing in a person that can teach these teens how to meditate?
Meditate?
Meditate, tune into themselves, you know, get calm.
We use the Michigan Model Health Initiative throughout the Lansing School District. It's mandated that all of our buildings do that. And in that Michigan...
meditate, like, you know...
That's not in there, but there are models for how the students can sit down and calm down, but it doesn't use meditation
what I'm
at all.
saying is, like, you know, you said Dr. Kaufman came in, you know, college interns come in. Why not have a person that knows how to teach people how to meditate?
That's truly interesting, and that might be something we could take a look at.
And do you have a name and a sheet of what you're doing? You know,
Actually, I did bring materials for the afternoon breakout group, and I have my card.
We have about 10 minutes more here for you guys to ask questions if you like. In the afternoon group, some of the students will be here helping to do the presentation, so you'll get more in-depth information. Mary will be there for that presentation, and they will have handouts. So this isn't the end of your opportunity to hear about this program. We need to be out of here in about 10 minutes. It's at about 11:45 or 11:40 would be better, because they have to clear the tables, because we will have our lunch meeting back in here. And it's supposed to start at 11:50, but I doubt that it will.
I have the information back at my office, the bibliography of materials that we use. And if you give me a name and address, I'd be glad to. It's got all the information, what we use for mediation, the community boards. It's got all of our resources on it. So we haven't actually gone out to other schools, but other schools have come to us. But we know that time will be coming when we probably will be able to go out. And that's what I've got for this afternoon.
I'm giving you people back in Texas colored trees. You just wouldn't believe it.
I wish I could have taken it more. Yeah, that's
Those are some federal buildings.
See, this is really.
This is the Capitol building. There's the dome.
See, this is really.
This is like the West End.
That's the old Methodist church.
I'm sure it is.
And some more colored trees. I love the trees. This is a picture of an old tree. It's got a fence around it. We have no clue why they fenced off this one tree. But it looks old and it looks neat. If we find out what it is, I'll tell you about it later. This is Austin Blair. He's a war governor of Michigan. And so their capital looks a little bit like ours, only little.
Right.
This is so cool. You guys have got to look at these doors. They're all wood and glass like that. They are so cool looking. Okay, this is the inside of the Capitol. It's been refurbished. I'm giving you a headshot here of the ceiling. Unbelievable. The ceiling's done in tin and wood. I'm going to give y'all a shot as I'm going up one section of this Capitol building. You are not going to believe it. I hope I'm not making everybody nauseous. There's one floor, here's 2 floors. I'm going to zoom you in. Okay. Hang on. Okay, we're going to go in. Okay, there's the ceiling. It is so cool. Real intricate. And coming down. There's murals and pictures of everything. This is the underneath of their stairs. Everything has a mural on it. And it's all color-coded and coordinated here. This right here is the stairs. This is their Senate chambers. And I'm going to zoom you in, I hope. Nope, the wrong direction. On some of the desks. I think those desks are just too cool.
I think they've probably been here before. I don't know.
Does it look like the one
I don't
in...
remember if I have.
Does it look like the one in Austin?
I probably have been here before.
It says it's the Ward Giltner Hall, or house. This is one of the dorms. Look at all these trees, and they have all that shrub growing up in front of them. I'm going to zoom in because I don't know how you're going to be able to see it. That's not brick, that's ivy and vines and stuff. This is at Michigan State. Not the University of Michigan.
And then these are, this is forestry.
Entomology building. We're going to pan out. This is the old part of the campus. Like it. This used to be one of the old residence halls. And that's Kenny and Gail. And she's showing him Michigan State. She's telling him that it's better than the Wolverines.